Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the most ruthless competition ever broadcast on television. No, this isn't an island in Fiji. There are no torches, no immunity idols, no tribal council. This battlefield is Flagstaff, Arizona, and the wreckage left behind by the Brown family. For years, you watched the parents implode. You watched Cody, Robin, Christine, Janelle, and Mary tear each other apart over land, loyalty, money, and intimacy. But while the adults were busy fighting their wars in public, something far more dangerous was happening quietly in the background. The children were growing up, and they were paying attention. Now the family structure has collapsed, and what remains isn't just a broken home, it's a strategic battlefield. This is Brown Family Survivor. And the question is no longer who is right or wrong. The real question is far more unsettling. Who is playing to win? Who secured the money? Who protected their sanity? And who is now outmaneuvering the very man who tried to control them all? Today, we're stripping away the tears, the victim narratives, and the TLC edit to analyze the Brown children as what they truly are now. Tactical players in a high-stakes game of financial and emotional survival. Before we open the dossier on our first contender and reveal insider intel that's been quietly exploding across fan forums, do me a favor. If you want the truth TLC tries to bury in the edit, hit that like button right now. It helps us beat the algorithm and bring this story to light. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're building one of the strongest SisterWives communities out there, and you do not want to miss what's coming next in this series. Now, let's talk about the prize. In the game of SisterWives Survivor, the reward isn't $1 million or a ceremonial title. The prize is autonomy. The prize is narrative control. And for some, the prize is cold, hard cash extracted from the very trauma they were raised in. For 18 seasons, the Brown children were props in Cody Brown's theater of patriarchy. But the props are no longer silent. They're directing the story now. We're analyzing their moves using 3 criteria: financial independence, public perception, and emotional leverage. Based on their behavior over the last 2 years and intelligence coming from our sources, it's becoming clear that what you see on social media isn't accidental. It's strategy. And in some cases, it's checkmate. Let's bring up our first player. She dominates the post-season conversation. We call her the whistleblower, Gwendolyn Brown. If this were a strategy game, Gwendolyn is running aggressive offense. Her approach is simple but devastating. Total transparency paired with calculated rebellion. While other siblings chose silence or distance, Gwendolyn turned on a camera, launched a YouTube channel, and began reacting, live and unfiltered, to the very show that made her famous. But don't get it twisted. These aren't just reaction videos. This is weaponized honesty. By monetizing her responses to her father's behavior, Gwendolyn created a self-sustaining economic loop. The more outrageous Cody becomes, the more profitable her platform gets. It's a brilliant pivot. She seized the means of production. She no longer needs a TLC contract to survive, just Wi-Fi and the truth. But here's where things get interesting. There's a theory circulating among industry insiders, quietly, carefully, that Gwendolyn's strategy goes far beyond YouTube revenue. Whispers suggest she's compiling something bigger, a digital archive. A public record of contradictions, emotional harm, and alleged mistreatment that could one day become leverage for a tell-all book deal powerful enough to rival major celebrity memoirs. Think about it. She's testing narratives, measuring engagement, watching which stories hit hardest. And we're hearing rumblings that literary agents are already hunting for the next generation perspective on polygamy. If that's true, Gwendolyn isn't just reacting. She's positioning herself as the definitive narrator of the story. She's attacking the system from inside the system. But no strategy is without risk. In Survivor, if you play too hard, too fast, you paint a target on your back. Gwendolyn's weakness may be her scorched earth approach. By airing family trauma so openly, she risks alienating not just Cody and Robin, which she seems fully prepared for, but also siblings who value privacy over exposure. We've already seen the strain. Reliving childhood trauma weekly for a massive audience comes at a cost. The question is brutal but necessary. Is financial independence worth the emotional toll? Right now, the scoreboard is clear. Gwendolyn is winning the financial game. She's cut the strings tying her to her father's wallet. She's independent. But whistleblowers rarely walk crowded roads. And if the secrets ever run dry, does the audience stay? That's the danger of the creator strategy. You have to keep feeding the beast. Now let's pivot, because not everyone is playing offense. If Gwendolyn is the aggressor, this next player is the phantom. We call her the diplomat, Michael T. Brown. Michael T's gameplay is fascinating because it defies expectations. In a family obsessed with picking sides and burning bridges, she set up camp directly in the middle of the war zone. She maintains a relationship with Cody and Robin while remaining one of Christine's closest allies. To casual viewers, this looks like kindness, forgiveness, loyalty. But when you put on strategic lenses, what you see is something else entirely: elite networking and information brokerage. Michael T is the last bridge standing. If Cody wants to know what's happening in Christine's world, he goes through Michael T. If Christine wants insight into Robin's household, Michael T is the only one with clearance to cross the border. That position gives her power and something even more valuable in reality television: job security. TLC needs Michael T. She's the connective tissue. Without her, the family fragments into isolated islands. By playing the diplomat, she guarantees screen time. And screen time guarantees a paycheck. But here's the darker theory, and this one's gaining traction. Insider reports suggest Michael T's neutrality isn't just about love. It's about legacy control. Sources speculate she's positioning herself as the eventual executive of the family truth, the one person who can write the history because she was present in every room, on every side, during every turning point. However, this strategy comes with a brutal downside. We've seen the comments. We've seen the backlash. Fans want heroes and villains. They want condemnation. They want explosions. When Michael T doesn't scream at Cody, when she doesn't exile Robin, when she invites everyone to baby showers and Zoom calls, the audience turns on her. High reward, extremely high risk. So the question remains, is Michael T the ultimate peacemaker, or is she a double agent playing the longest game of all? And this is only the beginning. Because in Brown Family Survivor, alliances shift fast, and the next player might be the one no one saw coming. There's a theory circulating deep inside the SisterWives analysis communities, one that reframes everything we think we're seeing on screen. The theory is this: Cody isn't maintaining a relationship with Michael T out of pure love or growth. He's using her as a PR shield. According to this theory, Cody treats Michael T just well enough so he can point to her and say, "See? I have a great relationship with my kids." It becomes a convenient prop, a way to gaslight the audience into doubting the very real estrangement he has with the rest of his children. If that's true, then Michael T is standing on unstable ground. The question becomes unavoidable: is she playing the game, or is she being played? Our analysis suggests something more complex. Michael T isn't naive. She's fully aware of the dynamic, and she's bending it to her advantage. Remember, Michael T was always the black sheep, the one fighting for validation, the one craving a seat at the table that never truly belonged to her. Now look at the reversal. By forcing everyone to coexist at her events, baby showers, birthdays, holidays, she's claiming something she never had as a child: control. She dictates the terms. She sets the rules. Cody doesn't summon her. He shows up at her house. He plays by her expectations. Psychologically, that's a massive win. In a strange but effective twist, the diplomat controls the king by pretending to serve him. But now it's time to move to the most volatile player in this entire game: the wild card, the destabilizer, Paydon Brown. If Gwendolyn is the sniper and Michael T is the spy, Paydon is a grenade. He pulls the pin, tosses it into the room, and smiles while everyone scrambles for cover. Paydon's strategy is chaos and attention. He doesn't operate on a content schedule. He operates on impulse. TikTok outbursts, long interviews, sudden accusations, leaked text messages. open mockery of his father's decisions. He doesn't whisper, he detonates. And in the modern social media economy, chaos is currency. Paydon understands that notoriety equals visibility. Visibility equals clicks. And clicks equal power. Every time he speaks, headlines follow. Paydon Brown slams Cody. Paydon exposes Robin. Paydon reveals family secrets. He keeps himself embedded in the algorithm, even if the spotlight is hostile. But this is the most dangerous game of all. History is brutal to reality stars who play the villain or the loose cannon. They burn bright, and then they burn out. We've tracked the pattern, and it's not promising. There are growing reports, fueled by cryptic social media activity, that Paydon's unpredictability has created serious tension behind the scenes regarding future filming. Some theorists believe TLC sees him as a liability, too erratic to ensure, too volatile to control, too risky to script around. And that's the fatal flaw in his strategy. Unlike Gwendolyn, who owns her platform, Paydon is dependent on other people's stages. He doesn't control the mic, he borrows it. He's a guest star in his own chaos. And if he becomes too radioactive, the door doesn't just close quietly. It slams. But there's a deeper layer here. Because Paydon's explosions aren't just about attention. They're about revenge. They're about refusing silence. They're about burning the house down so no one else can pretend it was ever stable. And in a family built on control, silence, and image management, that might be the most dangerous move of all. Paydon has hinted at something far darker than family drama, allegations of physical intimidation and past conflicts that cross an invisible line. By releasing these fragments into the public sphere, he isn't just venting. He's deploying a strategy known as mutually assured destruction. The message is unmistakable. Don't come for me, or I will burn the entire house down. This isn't offense. It's defense disguised as aggression. Paydon is making himself untouchable by becoming too dangerous to confront. If Cody threatens legal action, Paydon escalates. If someone tries to silence him, he detonates another revelation. It's crude. It lacks the finesse of Michael T's diplomacy or the business precision of Gwendolyn's platform, but in the short term, it works. Fear keeps enemies at bay. Embarrassment becomes the shield. But now we have to talk about the players who aren't even on the battlefield. The ones who looked at the game board, flipped the table, and walked out. We call them the ghosts. Logan, Aspen, Hunter, and, to a lesser extent, Leon. These are the invisible players. Their strategy is radical isolation, and make no mistake, isolation is a strategy. In a world where the Brown last name is a brand, choosing anonymity is an act of rebellion. Logan, the eldest, was the surrogate father long before cameras captured the dysfunction. He raised siblings while Cody chased validation elsewhere. And when Logan turned 18, he didn't just move out, he moved on. He exited the spotlight entirely and built a career, a marriage, and a life untouched by reality TV chaos. Aspen followed the same blueprint. Minimal social media.
No interviews. No Monais trauma. No Patreon. No YouTube confessionals.
Here's the uncomfortable truth about the ghost strategy. They may be the only ones actually winning in the traditional sense of human happiness. They have protected their mental health. They have stable relationships. They are not financially dependent on a network, a storyline, or a narcissistic patriarch. But in the context of Brown Family Survivor, where the currency is narrative control, they've forfeited the game. By staying silent, they allow others to speak for them.
Cody, Gwendolyn, Paydon.
Their stories get told without their consent. They traded their voice for their peace. And then there's the theory, the quiet one. Whispers suggest there may be a legal structure at play. A trust. A settlement. An agreement to stay off camera in exchange for distance. Others believe the opposite, that they were cut out financially and simply didn't care. But the most compelling insider theory is this. Logan and Aspen may be holding the family together off camera. According to sources, the real family gatherings, the ones without producers, contracts, or scripts, happen at their homes. And Cody isn't invited. They've created a shadow family unit. One that excludes the toxicity. One that functions without control, obedience tests, or emotional extortion. If that's true, they've won the ultimate prize. Family without baggage. They extracted the siblings from the cult of personality and rebuilt something real in the dark. And now we arrive at the faction that changed everything. This is where the game stops being metaphorical and becomes a fight for the soul. The sons who refused to bend. The ones who stood their ground when obedience was demanded as proof of love. When we analyze Cody's dynamic with his sons, especially during the COVID rules and loyalty tests, we see two strategies collide. Cody played divide and conquer. He tried to force the wives to choose him over their children. The rebels responded with a united front. Self-respect over submission. Boundaries over approval. This is the moment where the Brown family fractured beyond repair. Because once obedience fails, control collapses. We've now examined the whistleblower, the diplomat, the wild card, and the ghosts. And what's becoming clear is this. There was never one right way to survive the Brown family. There were only strategies. Some loud, some silent, some destructive, some healing. But only a few truly broke free. But here's the twist. The game is shifting. The audience is voting with its attention, and the power structure in Flagstaff has fundamentally changed. Likes, views, silence, backlash. All of it is data. And that data is rewriting the rules in real time. As we prepare to go deeper into the alliances and the financial fallout of these strategies, we have to ask the real question. Is winning about money, or is it about being able to sleep at night? Because what we've covered so far is only the surface. In the next layer of this breakdown, we're going to get specific. We're talking financial estimates. How much is the whistleblower strategy actually worth compared to the diplomat strategy? We're also going to introduce the Robin factor and how each child's approach is carefully engineered to bypass her gatekeeping. And yes, there's a bombshell theory circulating about a potential spin-off that could cut the parents out entirely. You do not want to miss this. If you're just joining us, we're dissecting the Brown family collapse not as a tragedy, but as a strategic survival game. The adult children are the players. Cody Brown is the chaotic variable. And the prize is autonomy. We've already analyzed the whistleblower, the diplomat, the wild card, and the ghosts. But you cannot talk about the fall of the Brown Empire without talking about the soldiers who stood on the front lines and took direct fire. We need to talk about Garrison and Gabriel, the rebels. In every survival game, there's a faction that chooses the nuclear option, direct conflict. While Michael T negotiates and the ghosts disappear, Garrison and Gabriel look at the terms Cody offers, absolute loyalty, illogical COVID rules, and the isolation of their mother Janelle, and they reject the contract outright. Let's be clear, this was not reckless. This was strategy. On the surface, it looks like they lost, estranged from their father. Gaslit on national television. And we all remember the moment that broke viewers, Gabriel sobbing as he revealed his father forgot his birthday. Emotionally, that's devastating. But in the game that actually keeps this show alive, public opinion, the rebels achieved total victory. By refusing to submit, by refusing to apologize for having lives, they exposed the tyrant. They forced Cody to show his hand. They pushed him into saying the quiet part out loud. His love is conditional. And that changed everything. Now here's where it gets explosive. There's a scorching theory circulating through production back channels. Sources suggest that after the cameras stopped rolling on those brutal confrontations, Cody attempted to initiate what insiders are calling a reconciliation contract. The whispers say he wanted Garrison and Gabriel to sign non-disclosure agreements, specifically about the internal workings of Robin's household, in exchange for being allowed back into family gatherings. If that theory is true, it tells us everything. Cody isn't afraid of losing his sons. He's afraid of what they know. Garrison and Gabriel have nothing left to lose, and that makes them dangerous. By rejecting this alleged deal, they chose self-respect over inheritance. They played the martyr strategy. They sacrificed the relationship to secure the moral high ground. And in doing so, they became the audience's stand-ins. Every viewer who has dealt with a narcissistic parent sees themselves in Gabriel. That connection is priceless. It means if Gabriel ever launched a podcast, a memoir, or a platform focused on healing instead of gossip, he wouldn't need shock value. The audience would follow him because the story is real. Now we need to shift gears because ideology doesn't pay the bills. Let's talk about the only scoreboard that matters in the real world, the money. Strategy is powerful, but cash is king. And this is where Brown family Survivor gets ruthless. We have to look at the return on investment, the ROI, of each child's trauma. Start with the whistleblower economy. Gwendolyn Brown is generating the highest immediate cash flow. At its peak, her Patreon was estimated to bring in substantial monthly revenue, numbers that may rival what some of the adults earn per episode of the actual show. This is the monetized trauma model. High yield, fast money. But veteran reality TV analysts warn there's a bubble here. This strategy depends on constant scandal. If the show gets canceled, or the family finally stops fighting, the content pipeline dries up. Gwendolyn has to pivot fast or the income collapses. Now compare that to the diplomat economy. Michael T's strategy is the access model. By staying in good standing with both sides, she remains relevant on the show, securing appearance fees. On top of that, she leverages visibility to sell products, MLMs, subscriptions, brand deals. It's diversified. She's hedging. If the anti-Cody wave fades, she's still protected because she never burned the bridge. If the show survives, she stays paid. It's less explosive than Gwendolyn's model, but far safer. And then comes the curveball. There's a strong argument that the ghosts, Logan, Aspen, and Hunter, are playing the smartest long-term financial game of all. This is what we call the compound interest model. By refusing reality TV money, they've invested in real careers. Logan in business, Aspen managing retail, Hunter in nursing.
No algorithms, no scandals.
No dependency on a franchise that could implode at any moment. They aren't rich overnight, but they're stable forever. And in a family built on chaos, that might be the most radical strategy of all. These are careers that don't evaporate the moment TLC pulls the plug. While Paydon chases TikTok clout that pays in pennies and Gwendolyn rides a Patreon wave that can churn overnight, the ghosts are quietly building 401 Burmese chots, equity, and real-world leverage. 10 years from now, when SisterWives fame has faded into remember when nostalgia, the ghosts may be the only ones standing on solid ground. They aren't rich from the show, but they're wealthy in security. Now we have to introduce a massive variable into this simulation. The boss battle, the Robin factor. You cannot analyze the children's strategies without understanding one core truth. Every single move they make is a reaction to Robin. Robin is the gatekeeper. Robin is the filter. Robin controls access to Cody, to resources, to narrative power. And here's the insider rumor that changes the entire board. There are persistent whispers that Robin has been pushing for a kids-focused spinoff with a catch. She doesn't want to star in it. She wants to executive produce it. The theory is simple. Robin knows the audience won't accept her as the face of the franchise, but if she controls the edit of the next generation, she controls her legacy. She ensures she's never painted as the villain. Suddenly, everything clicks. Payton's attacks on Robin aren't random. They're preemptive strikes, designed to make sure she can never control him. Gwendolyn's mockery isn't just sarcasm. It's devaluation. She's stripping Robin of authority in the public eye. This isn't chaos. It's a coordinated mutiny. The children are actively dismantling Robin's ability to ever be their boss. Except for one. Michael T is the only player who understood a brutal truth. The fastest way past a gatekeeper is to get the gatekeeper to open the door for you. By befriending Robin, Michael T gains access to the inner sanctum, Robin's house, the most fortified location in the game. That gives her intel.
Mood.
Strategy. What Cody says when the cameras are off. In espionage terms, Michael T isn't a diplomat. She's a deep cover operative. Now, let's talk about a sleeper agent we haven't fully addressed yet. Savannah, Janelle's youngest. Quiet, observant, often overlooked. In Survivor terms, this is the under-the-radar strategy. While everyone is fixated on the loud players, Savannah is watching everything. She saw the RV years. She witnessed the fights. She's living inside the fallout without the escape hatch of marriage or distance. And here's the theory. Mark this one. Savannah may be the one writing the definitive memoir. The quiet ones are always the most dangerous because no one edits themselves around them. Cody likely says things in front of Savannah he would never say in front of Paydon because he doesn't perceive her as a threat. That's a fatal mistake. Savannah isn't ranting. She's collecting data. And when she plays her cards, it won't be a TikTok meltdown. It'll be a deposition. Now we need to address the mothers because another question looms over all of this. How much of the children's strategy is actually a proxy war for the moms? Is Paydon acting as Christine's ID, saying the angry truths she's too diplomatic to voice? Is Gabriel fighting the battles Janelle was too conditioned to fight for years? There's an exclusive hypothesis circulating, one that's gaining traction fast. The theory is that Christine and Janelle run a private war room group chat with the adult children, intentionally excluding Michael T to prevent leaks to Robin. Watch the timing. Whenever Cody says something particularly egregious on an episode, within 24 hours multiple siblings post content contradicting him. That's not coincidence. That's a coordinated media blitz. If this theory is true, then the Brown family has split into two competing media entities, Robin and Cody Enterprises versus the United Allied siblings. And right now, the siblings are winning the engagement war by a landslide. But victory has a cost. The whistleblower and rebel strategies require something brutal, the destruction of the family unit. To win the audience, they have to lose the father. This creates a psychological trap, known as a double bind. If they pursue a relationship with Cody, they lose self-respect and public respect, like Michael T is often accused of doing. But if they keep their self-respect, they lose their father. There is no clean win. Now, let's look deeper at the Paydon paradox. Paydon is the wild card, but he's also the most vulnerable. We've received reports that he's been approached by other reality TV networks for dating shows and competition formats. He's trying to convert SisterWives' notoriety into a standalone brand. But here's the flaw: volatility. Networks love drama. They hate liability. By openly discussing physical altercations and maintaining a loose cannon social media presence, Paydon may be sabotaging his own crossover potential. He's playing a short-term game for likes while sacrificing long-term viability. Compare that again to the ghost strategy. Logan doesn't have fans. He has a retirement plan. Paydon has fans, but does he have a future once the scandal dries up? And then there are the forgotten players. Robin's children, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. In this survivor game, they entered with a handicap. Sheltered. Controlled. Isolated by the Cody-Robin alliance. Strategically, they're in the worst position possible.
No autonomy.
No public platform. No ability to form alliances with the other siblings. They're NPCs, non-player characters, in Cody's simulation. But Survivor always has a twist. The most explosive theory we've uncovered centers on Dayton. There are rumors of covert contact between Dayton and the OG siblings, specifically Paydon and Garrison, despite the parental blockade. If that's true, if there's a back channel forming, then Cody's divide and conquer strategy has already failed. Imagine the season finale. Dayton breaks rank. Joins the Rebel Alliance. That's checkmate. And before we end, we have to return to the money, because there's one detail most people miss. Legacy residuals. Who owns the Brown family story? If TLC produces a years later documentary, who gets paid? Right now, those contracts likely run through the parents, which means this explosion of child-led platforms may be something else entirely. Collective bargaining. By turning themselves into independent stars, the adult children are forcing TLC to negotiate with them directly, not through Cody. They aren't just rebelling. They're unionizing. What the children are really saying now is simple and revolutionary. You want Gwendolyn's reaction? Then you pay Gwendolyn. That's not rebellion. That's a hostile corporate takeover. They are seizing the means of production from the patriarch. This is no longer about teenage angst or family drama. This is about ownership of the Brown brand. The power has shifted away from Cody, away from the parents, and directly into the hands of the children who live the story. And nowhere is that shift more visible than in the merch wars. Michael T. is selling clothes. Meanwhile, SisterWives' closet, Robin's great business dream, collapsed under its own weight. There's a delicious irony here. The children are succeeding commercially where the parents failed.
Why?
Because the market has changed. The polygamy and submission brand is dead. The freedom brand is booming. The audience no longer wants to watch women submit to a man who withholds love as leverage. They want to watch people break free. And the children who align themselves with freedom, Gwendolyn, the rebels, Christine, are watching their stock rise. Those aligned with appeasement or submission, Michael T. to an extent, Robin's kids entirely, are watching theirs fall. So, as we stand here, looking at the smoke rising from Coyote Pass, the questions get sharper. Is the diplomat's safety worth the audience's distrust? Is the rebel's integrity worth the pain of emotional orphanhood? Is the whistleblower's cash worth monetizing your own trauma? Because we've reached the endgame. The tribes have spoken. The alliances have shattered. The torches are flickering. But before we crown the ultimate survivor of the Brown family, we need to talk about the players still trapped inside the simulation. The captive faction.
Aurora.
Brianna. And the youngest children still under Cody and Robin's roof. Strategically, they are playing the compliance game. Total submission to the dominant power. They've seen what happens to rebels, they're exiled. They've seen what happens to whistleblowers, they're labeled enemies. So they cry when Robin cries. They shun who Cody shuns. They become perfect soldiers. On the surface, this looks like survival. And in the short term, it is. They are the only ones with access to the money, the inheritance, the father's time. They are betting on outlasting the other 13 children and inheriting what's left of Coyote Pass. But this strategy has a fatal flaw. We call it the sinking ship probability. If the show is canceled, and insider reports say that's a very real possibility given collapsing ratings on Cody-centric episodes, the money dries up. What they're left with is a father with no income, massive debt, and no bridge back to the siblings who could have helped them rebuild. They've gone all in on a bad hand. And there's an even darker theory circulating, that Cody is actively isolating these children not just for control, but to prevent them from learning the truth about the finances until it's too late. If that's true, they aren't players. They're collateral damage. But one player defies every category. Truly Brown. Truly is the observer. She began in the captive camp, and was extracted by Christine into the freedom camp. She is the only child who has seen the inner workings of the Cody, Robin household recently, and now lives outside of it. Their leverage. If Cody pushes too far, if he blocks access to the younger kids, they push the red button. Now it's time to tally the votes. We judge on 3 criteria: wealth, mental peace, and freedom. 5th place. Paid on, the wild card. Too erratic. Too volatile. Attention-rich, stability poor. He's playing checkers while others play chess. 4th place, the captives. Safe for now, but trapped. Zero autonomy. Betting on a collapsing kingdom. 3rd place, Michael T., the diplomat. Federal paid. Protected, but exhausted. Still playing by Cody's rules to keep the peace. 2nd place, Gwendolyn and the rebels, Garrison and Gabriel. They won freedom and public support, but the cost was brutal. They carry scars that never fully fade. Which brings us to 1st place. The ultimate survivors of the Brown family. The ghosts. Logan, Aspen, Hunter, Leon. They win because they understood the only way to win a toxic game is to stop playing. Logan saw the board a decade ago. He realized that as long as he stayed on camera, he was a pawn. So he walked away.
No permission.
No drama. Just exit. By building lives completely outside the show, the ghosts stripped Cody of all power. He can't withhold money. They earn their own. He can't withhold love for a storyline. They don't need one. They achieved the trifecta. Financial independence. Protected mental health. Total autonomy. They aren't defined as brown kids. They're defined as individuals. In a game obsessed with fame and noise, They chose silence. And in that silence, they won.
Now I want to hear from you.
Are you Team Rebel, Team Diplomat, or Team Ghost? Drop your vote in the comments. And one last thing. We're investigating Coyote Pass property records, and the name transfers are strange. If you want to know who really owns the land, make sure you're subscribed. This has been SisterWives Crew. The game is over for today, but the drama never sleeps.